this is more than I realized at first. So we're gonna do 2 days, maybe like a day and a half. I don't know, but so I got today and tomorrow set aside for 3-6, and then I made you like a gigantic. It's optional. But this is like if you could do everything on this packet, you should be able to crush the game. I kind of broke it down, but I'll ask it out. It's like 70 something questions. Again, you don't have to do it. You could just look at like one section and be like, Matthew's gonna keep them all. He's not gonna pass it by. He's gonna do it for you.
Matthew's going to devote his life.
So I went through. Did I show you guys that Google Doc I made? I think I showed like some of you. What? What? I did? Okay. Well, so I didn't show everybody, but kind of watched the video, of course, right? So, yeah. So this is like I went through all the topics that will be on the gateway. Do you guys want this on Schoology? Like this document? Is that helpful? But the problem set in front of you is me going through all of these and making like 2, 3, 4 problems of each of these. So you might go to the power rules section and be like, yeah, there's 4 of those, but I'm gonna do one. I know how to do that. I'm gonna move on. You might not. I mean, it's up to you. But this is like all the stuff that will be on your gateway. I'm not gonna collect that packet, but I will absolutely answer questions on it. And then Monday, I'm gonna give you a fake gateway. A fake way. And then your gateway will be Tuesday. So there on Schoology, just because sometimes you can't find stuff. I didn't put it in like a date. The gateway review is right here at the top, and then gateway topics right below it. So gateway Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Questions on that? Okay. So this unit is about higher order derivatives, they call that, which is just like taking the second derivative or the third derivative or the fourth derivative. So part of it's just like, can you notate it correctly? So if you're in this, if your original was y, y to the nth would be y to the n, or y superscript n, I guess. So this one would be like f to the n derivative of x, and this one would be written like dny over dx. So that's just notation, no big deal. People ask me every year why the 2 is written in like different spots, and I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. If you want to Google it, but it's not going to affect anything you're doing in here. But a lot of them are just like do the derivative and then do it again. So I could do this. I could do this until I got all the way down to 0. Because polynomials will just eventually be 0. This would be just 6x to the 5th minus 8x to the 3rd plus 10x minus 3. Well, that would be the derivative of that. So 30x to the 4th minus 24x squared plus 10. And then the derivative of that, so 120x to the 3rd minus 72. No. That's 48x. And then 360x squared minus 48. So for a regular polynomial where there's no negatives or cos or e or ln or any of that stuff, just regular x's and powers, if I just keep going, what am I going to get to eventually? I'm going to get to 0. So the next one would be like 720x, and then it'd be 720, and then it would just be 0. But that's only for like a very strict, basic, straight up polynomial. Like this one, that won't happen. Because that negative 2 become a negative 3, and then a negative 4, and then a negative 5, and it doesn't like end up at 0. So if I were doing this one, I'd say, okay, x to the 1/2 plus x to the negative second. I'm just like writing it. And then the first derivative, be 1 half x to the negative 1 half minus 2x to the negative third. And then negative 1/4 x to the negative 3 halves plus 2x to the negative 4th. So I think you can tell that, but if I just keep going and keep going and keep going, will I end up at 0? Yes, it would be plus 6x to the negative 4th. Thank you. Really kind of stole the thunder from my question, though. Will I end up at 0? I will not, because like this is just going to keep getting like more negative, right? Does that make sense what you're doing, though? Like just take the derivative and then take it again. Some of them get pretty tricky, so the implicit ones are the ones that I really want to take time to go through. So let's do this one in the example here. So I want to find the second derivative of this equation. So this is an implicit because I've got a y here and a y here. It's not solved for y. I've got x and y is kind of blended together. So that's implicit, and that's when I take the derivative of a y and multiply by dy dx, right? So I'm doing that here. What's the derivative of sine? Cosine of y, but I took the derivative of a y. So multiply by dy dx. Equals, derivative of x is 1, and then the derivative of y is 1, but you took the derivative of a y. So multiply by dy dx. And then I gotta get dy dx by itself. So I think I would probably subtract this guy, bring it over. Cosine of y times dy dx minus 1 times dy dx equals 1. Some of you might not have written that 1 there. It doesn't matter, but like realize that there is a 1 there. So when you take this dy dx out on your next step, I see this a lot. And then people just stop. Like pretend that 1 wasn't written there. I think a lot of people are tempted to say, well, I take the dy dx, there's cosine left. I take the dy dx here, it just cancels. But it has to have something there so that if you were to distribute back in, you've got to end up with what you just came from, right? So there's got to be a 1 there. Equals 1. And then what? Divide, right? So I'll end up with dy dx equals 1 over cosine of y minus 1. So that's good. That's a good review of implicit differentiation and gets us started on the next topic. So just up to there, are there any questions? So then we got to take the derivative of that. So you got options now because you have a lot of tools. You got product rule, you got chain rule, you got quotient rule. For me, I hate quotient rule the most because you're always going to end up with like a weird fraction. Not always a weird fraction, but you're always going to end up with a fraction. And sometimes it's weird and simplifying it gets to be a mess. I think chain, for most people, is far easier. So like one choice you have here would be to do it as quotient rule. There's your top, there's your bottom, do your fig minus gif, gives you squared. Another option you have, though, would be to write it as cosine of y minus 1 to the negative first. Like, isn't that just to the first down there? So if I bring all that up, it becomes the negative first. Is that fair? Do we see that? And then do chain rule. I think that's probably easier. So now I'm taking the derivative of that. The derivative of the left-hand side is that d2y over dx2. The derivative of the derivative is the second term. That's all that's saying. And then for chain rule, our big guy's the negative 1, right? Leave the inside alone and reduce the power by 1. And then multiply by the derivative of the inside. So what's the derivative of cosine of y? Negative sine of y times dy dx. And what's the derivative Questions on that? So here's my next step, and if you see what I'm doing, don't say anything and give other people a chance to see it also. Some of you will see it faster than others. Some of you might have already seen it, I don't know. Don't say it, but see if you can figure out what I did there. You guys remember when I moved this thing over to this side? I still, every time I go to do something. Because this thing is over here on a website, so if I move things up and down, I'm not sure what the best answer is. I'm just trying something. Yeah, there was one down there and Crab took it before me, so no. Does Rod not use it? Really? That's a good idea. I will do that. How many teachers use this one? Seriously? I love it. It's like, do you guys care? Does it matter to you?
I'm shocked when people don't. I cannot believe them.
I like it. You can see it on the videos, and like I don't have to erase my board. It smears all over.
You see Rod's boards? They're black.
Oh, really?
It's awful.
Okay. Hey, we're on video. We don't need to be insulting people.
Sorry, Rod.
Sorry, Rod. We love you. All right, what did I do? I didn't do chain roll. I already did chain roll. I didn't forget it. What? Yeah, substitute. I think you said the same thing. I substituted dy dx. So I know from up here that dy dx is cosine of y minus 1 to the negative first. So instead of putting a dy dx here, I put cosine of 1 minus 1 to the negative first. And you do have to do that to get to the answer that we're looking for. And that's going to happen in all of these. Every time you have to take the second derivative of an implicit, there'll be a dy dx that pops up. And then you're just going to replace it. And then I got to simplify what I have there a little bit. I'll show you how to replace it. So if I have, let's start simpler. If I have x to the negative second times x to the negative first, what is that? X to the negative third. You add exponents. Let's back up another step if we want. That'd be x to the 11th, right? Because we add those up. We add those up. Well, aren't these the same base? So how many of those do I have? I have negative 3 of them, right? So d2y over dx squared equals sine of y. Because if I multiply negative 1 times negative sine of y, I get positive sine of y. Times cosine of y minus 1 to the negative 3. Question on that one? The implicit's like probably the main reason I want to spend 2 days on it because it does. I don't know, it's a bit goofy on a couple of them. We'll practice more on like the more difficult ones, I would say, tomorrow. And today. So this is just good practice for you. You're taking the derivative and then you're taking it again. So you're doing 2 derivatives. Look at like number 7 on the homework. How many times would you take the derivative of this to get to the second derivative? Just once, right? So if I'm already at the first derivative level and you're asked for the second derivative, just do it once. Because if you took the derivative twice from here, you'd be at like the third level. So I would like you to do numbers. Oh wait, let's do one of these. Let's do 11 together. Let's do 14 together. That's gonna be harder. Okay. So they gave me the first derivative, and they're asking me to find the second derivative. So how many times do I have to take the derivative? Just once, right? Then I'm gonna plug in this point. So the derivative of the left-hand side is that if you have a constant front, what's going to happen to it? It's going to drop down. Derivative of cos is negative, so I'm going to say negative 3 sine of y times dy dx plus 5. And then I got to get a number out of this at the end of the day here. So what am I? So I'm going to have negative 3 sine of y. What am I putting instead of dy dx? The original equation, right? Well, that's not the original, but like the derivative level equation. So that's just that substitution piece that I was going to show you. Get dy dx here, but I know from previously that dy dx is equal to this, so I substitute. And then this is the point I wanted to get to for these. Is there any? This one I can't really simplify even if I wanted to. But is there any benefit to simplifying this before you plug in numbers? None. It's worse. If you try to simplify, you're wasting time and you might screw it up. So there's no benefit. So don't. Just plug in. As soon as you plug in, because almost everyone is better with numbers than simplifying a bunch of stuff. So this will be negative 3 sine of pi over 2 times 3 times cosine of pi over 2 plus 5 times 2 plus 5. And like that's kind of annoying. It's trig, but it's better than simplifying first in almost every case. I can go through and figure this out. So let's do the parentheses first. Pi over 2 is how many degrees? 90. What's the cosine of the x value of 90? 0. That's gone. So negative 3 times, what's the y value of 90 degrees? 1. So this is just 10. Plus 5, so that's negative 30 plus 5. So this should be negative 25. Is that the answer they got? So my main point there, and I think I've said this before, but just to reinforce, the sooner you can plug in numbers, do it. Because you're way less likely to make mistakes and you're not going to waste time. So I would like you guys to go up to I'd like you to go up to 22. We'll do like the test prep ones tomorrow. Go over any questions you have. Then we can start taking a look at that review thing. Questions for me? Oh yeah, with notes. Yeah, did you guys read the notes we left? It was for you. 2 are missing for yeah. I hope you guys slay. Connor and Will didn't die, so that's cool. Nice. I was asking like, how do I say like, do you catch a deer? I hope you get a deer. I hope you catch a deer. I don't know how to say it. What would you say? Get a deer. Yeah.